Hello everybody and welcome back to Full House Sports here. Myself, Charlie. A reminder before the video starts to please like, comment and subscribe. Anything you guys do is greatly appreciated as I try and become a one-man sports news bandwagon. Now, last night saw the return of the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury, against Arslanbek Makhmudov, live on Netflix at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and I've got to say, overall, I thought it was pretty poor. I thought the fight in general, the main event, was messy at times. I mean, I went and watched Makhmudov face off against Dave Allen. He had one option in that fight, in the Fury fight last night, and that essentially was just a big overhand right. As far as boxed ability, they said about it as well on commentary, which, by the way, I thought was bad actually last night. I thought Ward and David Hay. I listened to the Hall of Game. I really like Andre Ward's podcast, but I thought the commentary itself was actually quite bad. And Mauro Ranallo, every time he commentates, I feel like he's just trying to be... I know he had a stint in WWE, and I feel like he's being too WWE. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. But going back to the fight, like I say, I thought at times poor. Fury did what he had to do. He will claim he got the rounds in. I'm not convinced by that theory. I'm not so sure if he just couldn't get Makhmudov out there, to be honest with you. It is hard to land clean on a guy who's just marauding forward like that. It's very hard. But he's back, and that's the end of that, really. He's got himself... The tribute to Ricky Hatton was a nice touch, I think it's fair to say. As for what's next, obviously we had the whole WWE standoff with AJ at the end. I'm not really sure what's going on there. I thought the whole... Turki Al-Sheikh said, we've got the biggest fight ready to announce. Well, it was obvious it was going to be AJ Fury. Then it wasn't announced. I don't know what's going on there. My personal opinion is AJ isn't ready. And I think they're trying to pressure him into taking the fight. Purely because I think they know that selling-wise, it's past its sell-by date anyway. But it's going to be harder to sell it. And I worry that I think they're trying to force him into it. I thought the interview he had at the end with Anna Woolenhouse, who, of course, does the skyboxing, was quite telling. I thought personally, and maybe I'm reading into it too much, but I thought looking at it, he looked at times uncomfortable, almost a little bit like, just leave me alone. I've had this tragedy happen. I don't particularly want to be in a boxing ring yet. If he is, then he's got to have a tune-up. I'm sorry, I think he's got to have a tune-up before facing Fury. And that'll be that. As for the other fights on the card, I'm going to do a separate video on Conor Benn because there's a lot to dissect with that. TKV Riyadpur, I thought that was an awful stoppage. Give the guy a chance. He's the champion. I thought the ref's gone way too early with that. Listen, Richard Riyadpur, it's a good win for him. I said I thought it'd be a good fight. It was okay. What they do with him next is interesting. He deserves a big fight, in my opinion. It's what he gets, because that British heavyweight scene, Dave Allen's now fighting Hrgovic. He's interested that he said about Johnny Fisher. I think that would be a horrendous fight for Johnny Fisher. I really don't see that going well. Maybe in a Coley fight, it feels like they should have fought. It feels like they have fought. They've been rivals for that long. So maybe the Coley fight, I don't know. It depends on how Coley gets on against Yoka in Paris. Listen, there's a lot of potentials out there for him. It's a stacked heavyweight scene. But if he wants to defend that British title, then who can blame him? Maybe Adelaide. He was there last night. That's a potential. And as for Clark against Justice Hooney, I thought it was a good fight. I thought it was a really good fight. I actually thought, before the fight, I was worried for Fraser Clark, but the adjustments he's made with Joe Gallagher, I thought were quite good. I think they're both probably found their level. I think Hooney and Clark were probably gatekeepers. I like Justice Hooney. I just wonder if he's got that mean streak in him that perhaps you need to be a heavyweight boxer. I wondered that last night. I also think, though, he'd be better off just getting himself in the mix over here. Stop going down to Australia, getting himself in the mix over here. But as for Clark, showed improvements. And if he wants another crack at the domestic scene, I'm not against it. I won't be against, for example, Clark versus Joe Joyce. That's a potential fight. They've been rivals in the amateurs. I think both are at similar stages. Clark's probably got just about less mileage on him, but that's a tough call. Yeah, that'd be a fight I'd watch and I'd be interested in. Probably not the highest quality, but I think they both know what they're doing if they fight each other. So I think there's still a future for Fraser Clark. I thought he made good adjustments under Joe Gallagher. I'd be interested how he looks with the second camp, because I always thought the Angel Fernandez setup was a bit strange anyway. And listen, I'm all for the second coming of Fraser Clark. as I say, I will do a video on Conor Benn because there's a lot to dissect with that. But as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Anything you guys do is greatly appreciated. Try and become a one-man sports news bandwagon. And as always, have a great day.